Now, great man, let's talk about the DNC. Yet again, a final insult to Joe Biden, who you and I, of course, don't hold any water for whatsoever, but they shove in so many other speakers that he eventually starts speaking at 11:30 at night and keeps going until a full hour later. Millions of Americans have tuned out and gone to bed. What a final FU to the bloke who just, 2 months ago was as sharp as a tack and was ready to take on the world?
Yes, I mean, that's been the great lie, hasn't it, from the Democrats and indeed from CNN and the New York Times and many others that, no, our guy's there, he's good, he's great, when clearly he'd been unfit to be president right from the election back in 2020. He was a duffer then, and he's even worse now. Yeah, I mean, meet me after midnight. They knew that if they put him on earlier in the evening, huge numbers of people would see it and would simply switch off. But let's forget about Joe Biden. And by the way, Donald Trump needs to forget about Joe Biden. I'll come back to that, if I may.
Please.
As for Kamala Harris, I mean, this is all just platitudinous nonsense. We're going to save America. We're going to save democracy. It's a complete policy-free zone. She doesn't do media, doesn't present, just goes on stage and gets cheered because she's new and she's different. I can't wait for September the 10th. You know, we've known ever since Nixon v. Kennedy that in America, these presidential debates decide elections, right? But this one on September the 10th, I think really could decide who wins. Yeah, of course, she's got, huge media support. She's not Donald Trump. But what does she actually stand for? Is it the very leftist platform that she ran on back in 2019 when she went for the nomination and got almost nowhere? That, to me, is what this is now really all about. And I expect to see nothing over the next couple of days from Chicago that enlightens us in any way at all. But if I may, I've been one of the most open, public, and was one of the first people on the international stage to support Donald Trump. I'm going way back now, way before, he was there as president, and he's obviously become fixated. He was ready to fight against Biden, and he keeps mentioning Biden, and I just feel Trump needs to change gear. He needs to get away from talking about Joe Biden, maybe even talk about Harris a bit less. Where Trump wins is on policy. Where Trump wins is on conviction. Where Trump wins is on having the courage to take on things that others bury. And I think we need to see that from the Republican candidate.
See, I share your concern, and I appreciate the strength of you being willing to say publicly what no doubt has been said privately for a while, right? Now, I don't want Harris to win. You absolutely want Trump to get there, but we all know that if we have these, we being he, 90-minute ramble sessions at rallies, if we have these anything but direct hits and trying to come up with the new rhyming slang and nicknames and all the rest of it, you're right. The reality is every poll, including all of the ones that may show a little advantage for her here or there, they say the economy's number one. People, when asked about it, then say they trust Trump on it. About immigration, issue number 2, they trust Trump on it. That means he's got the issues, and the public are saying, we are ready to give the ball back to you. He has to he has to clasp it, though, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. And it's all about good, simple, direct messaging. I mean, look, you say rambles. I mean, a Trump rally is as much about entertainment and an evening out as it is anything else. So, when he goes off on his tangents, let's be honest, it's often extremely amusing. And if you're there, it's quite something.
I love the washing machine stuff.
There needs to be a much... Oh, I mean, look, all of it. I mean, wonderful stories he tells.
Right.
He tells them in private, he tells them in public, and that's part of who he is. But no, the simple, direct, and memorable messaging, that's the point. Memorable messaging on energy bills, on filling up the car with gas, the term they use in America. Memorable messaging on the border and what he's actually going to do, and on crime in American cities. This is where Trump wins. People see him as a strong leader, but he just needs to... He needs to reconnect with the American public, with this messaging, and it needs to happen before the 10th of September. And then on that evening, we need to see that on policy, he's thought stuff through. And frankly, unless I'm wrong, I don't think she knows what she stands for at all.
Well, can I show you this? This is from a couple of days ago. She came up with all this gimmicks and garbage, allegedly in economic policy on Friday. It was rubbish. Literally, the New York Times, Washington Post, Fox Business, you name the spectrum, they were like, okay, not okay. She was asked to explain, so how are you going to pay for all of this stuff? Like it's trillions of dollars worth of spending on top of the trillion she's already voted for. Have a listen to her try to explain how this will pay for itself.
I think it's a mistake for any person who talks about public policy to not critically evaluate how you measure the return on investment. When you are strengthening neighborhoods, strengthening communities, and in particular the economy of those communities, and investing in a broad-based economy, everybody benefits, and it pays for itself in that way.
Take away the teleprompter, she's terrible, mate.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, clearly this is somebody who's about image and not about, a clearly thought through ideology of any kind at all, other than sort of let's be kind, let's be lovely, let's be great, let's be sort of soft socialist. No, look, she hasn't got a clue. Get her, as you say, get her off that teleprompter. She can't answer it. Economics, I don't know about running America's economy. She couldn't run a family budget with that sort of thinking. So, no, September the 10th is a really, really big night.
So good to talk to you, mate. We look forward to doing so again next week. Everyone should check out your show on GB News, of course, called, funnily enough, Farage.